young, because like Heather was saying, you don't do fairy tales, but if you're older, then the kids don't like that anymore. But I think you have to have that base of fairy tales and children's songs and just hearing a ton of Chinese. And then it's like, oh, we said a couple words. Great. I don't want the kids to speak too soon. I want them to listen a lot. And I think the multimedia is a way to engage. And I just think when I was a kid, I watched cartoons. It's not great. I don't like screen time. But if it's all in Chinese, that can be a lot of listening. They figure that Chinese takes at least twice as much time as Spanish for an English language to learn because it's so different from English. And so they've got to have a ton of time to be able to get there in Chinese. So, they say that to be fluent, you need to average 4 hours a day in the language. And we've got to think, are we getting close to that? We're getting 2.5 hours a day, 8 months a year. And that's not going to be enough. But if the kids are listening on the outside and finding other ways to supplement, then we can do it. So that's kind of my spiel. And but I'm okay. I'll just pass on. Shirley, sorry, I talked too long.
No worries. Actually, I feel like I learned a lot from both of you. And I feel ashamed as a Chinese speaking that I don't actually know a lot of shows and apps. And I think that I learned a lot. And as a native speaker, and I feel like I can speak it, so I have that advantage that I can teach my kids. But for both of you, it seems like you do extra work is very admirable. So thank you for sharing. I'm not going to take a lot of time to talk about apps or TV. I don't do much, but maybe I would definitely use your suggestions. A little bit of introduction of myself, and I'm currently helping a teacher to teach in a classroom in East Lake Elementary in second grade. I decided to help because this year, because of COVID, my teacher needs to do Zoom. So I agree to help out by going into the classroom while she Zoom in. And so, and at the same time, why I agree is because my second grader is in that class. And I'm a good friend with the teacher. Craig actually asked me to share my experience. In my house, we use a lot of books and games. And one of the main reason I kind of forced my kids since they were young to tutor little kids, because I have been tutoring Chinese and math for a long time. And I feel like with tutoring, they can practice what they have learned and also to review what they have learned. So since they were third grade and fourth grade, they have been tutoring little kids. Now we have been tutoring, this is our 5th year. And my kids are still tutoring on Friday morning, only Friday morning. And we currently have 6 students between both of them. Some of the kids tutor half an hour, 30-minute sessions. Some of them go for an hour, depends on what they would like and what their level is at. And my kids are very good in the foundation because of tutoring. And I have prepared all the curriculum for them. And they just need to follow the pattern. And I am usually there to communicate with the teacher, with the teacher, the students' teachers, and also with their parents. And because it has been so many years, my kids kind of got into the habit of knowing what to do. So so now it's easier. Sometimes I can walk away for a little bit and then come back. In the beginning, it was hard, so I needed to be there for the whole time so they don't mess up. And so what we usually do is I will find people for them to tutor on my website. A Facebook group. So we have an East Lake Facebook group that I can post and say, hey, my daughter willing to tutor, and if you would like, just give me a holler or something. And my kids actually charge really little, only 6 hours per, $6 per half an hour. What, because they started in third grade. So we started at $5. And then now my daughter is in 8th grade, my oldest, and then my second daughter is in 6th grade. So they can definitely up the price, and probably will do a little up a little bit next year. But think about, they are learning at the same time they're earning money. So they're willing to do that. And I don't need to push them. Sometimes I do, like they still whine, their kids. But they're earning money. So, and then they can practice at the same time. Is a win-win situation all around. So what I'm going to suggest, I know that a lot of parents here are not native speakers, but I would strongly recommend, if you can do some kind of peer group, or just find it in neighborhood. I know if it's siblings, it's hard. Like they usually will end up with an argument. But if it is a peer, then that might help. Or you can just find like buddy reading. So in the neighborhood or on the Facebook group of your school, you can say, hey, my kid is willing to do this, who is interested, and we're willing to help out someone in the community. And whoever is in the 1st grade, my kid is in 4th grade, we can read books together. So I'm very sure your the teachers will be willing to provide some kind of books for them to read out of school. So if the higher grader can help with the lower grader, I'm pretty sure the teachers in your school will be willing to help to provide books. So I think that will, rather than learning just Chinese, they can also learn about other skill sets too. Like we're talking about patience and teaching and tutoring, all these things is good. So that's what my kids has been doing since they were young. And we have a lot of books. So if you want to know about the books that I use for 1st graders, I use Better Chinese. And because they're just good for 1st graders. Kindergarten and 1st graders is the best books for Better Chinese. They have it on Amazon. And I bind them like this, so I don't lose them, because my books are all over the place if I don't bind them. And some of them are pretty used up. And you can see some of them even tear it. But we use these books to pass off during our tutoring. So in the first 10 minutes, we will read a book according to the level. So I will have a list of all these books from the first book, because there's numbers here. So first books to the last book, and then I will give them as a list. And then if they pass off, then I check it. And then the next book, next week will be the next book. If they don't check it, then they need to practice this book again. And we record this by, like, we'll point at it and say ni hao, and then we'll read the whole book, and then we will send it to the parents so that they can practice at home with the kids too. So that's what we do. And that's the Better Chinese. This is the 1st grade. And then for 2nd grade, I use the step-by-step. They have it on Amazon too, or you can go to China Sprouts. And these are really good books for 2nd graders. That's what I use. When it comes to 3rd graders, I use this. They are from China Sprouts, and they have 5 sets of this. So this is the 3rd grade, Pai Chou, and then they have many different, how many are there? So this is a yellow one, and then there are 8 of them, 8 books in this.
What's the
and
name
then
of that
when
series?
They pass it off, so you can see the B. Huh?
I was just wondering, what's the name of that
This is
series?
the 2nd grade.
But is it called Oda Nada?
Oh,
is that what it is? Does it have a name? Like, say we said Better Chinese for the 1st grade. For this one, is it called Oda Nada or something? No.
This is 学前. Oh, I don't really have a name for this.
Okay, because I've seen those.
I
like
will
they had those
take
at
a picture
Cascade,
and send
but I
it
don't
to
know
you.
the name. Yeah,
The-
I've seen them. Yeah, they're famous. Yeah.
I don't know the name either. They have 5 series, and this one is 100 words. You can see you learn 100 words here. And then this one, that's 200 words. So once they graduate from those, they pass them all, then I'll go up to 200 words. So this is between second grade and third grade, but that one is only 8 books. So if you are teaching them every day, you can go through a lot of books. So, and then they have 300 words, and then 500 words, and then 900 words. So it can go up pretty high. And you can see that by the 900 words, each page is that many words. So we're talking about like 4th grade, 5th grade, so on. And so these are the books that I use for tutoring. And I also, for lower graders, I like to play games with them. So these are some of the ideas you can get. This one is really fun. I don't know if you have seen this before, this tiles. And I love this game. My kids love to play. Sometimes I have a kid that would come in and just don't want to be there. Then I will play this game. Because it's only 30 minutes, so I don't want to just play an English game or anything that not related. So you can see there are cards like this with the picture. You can see it's really fun. And then with the cards, you can play on this board many different games. You can see, and you can do a matching game, and then you can also just give them the character and then match to the word. Or you can use these cards, or they also have tiles. You can see that they have tiles. They have many different games. I'm not going to go through it one by one. This is really cute cows, and you can form sentences with this. Or you can start with just phrases. That's what I would do. Like, depends on the grade, right? So, so this is fun for the kids, and then a couple kids can play at the same time because there are many different boards here, many boards. And that's what I really like this game. It is not cheap, to be honest, but I think that is a good investment if you have a couple of kids that can reuse this one. And because we use this really often with our tutoring, so I think it's worth it. And also, and other ideas for playing games for you guys is magnets. I make magnets for my students. So if you have one of those cookie sheets, you can make Chinese words magnets, and you can use that to form sentences. So what I usually do is I'll give a word to them that with the magnets, and I would say, hey, I have all these words around here, so you need to have some side words too, like me, I, all this around, so that this kid can form sentences with the words, because if they can't really write it in the beginning, forming sentences and recognizing that the words is good. I don't usually put pinyin on there. I just have the words so that they really can recognize them. And then by the time they're older, you can still use the magnet, but you can use more complicated words, and you can throw in more other words in there, and so that they can form sentences with that. And then by the time that they are even older, you should let them write it out. So you can just give them a paper and then just write it out. And then, but the magnet is just a fun thing to do for the kids so that they can touch. So that's what I have.
Did you say you made the magnets yourself, or is there somewhere you can buy them?
On Amazon, there is a box or two. You can just put Chinese characters magnets, but I feel like there's not enough variety. So what I do is I print them out, and then I'll stick it on a magnet, like those magnet sheets, and then just cut it, and then I'll put it on the cookie sheets, and so that they have more words. Does that make sense? Because what I bought, which is really good, well made, they only have certain words, but they don't have a lot of the words that can form a complete sentence. So I needed to use those, make those for myself. Does that make sense? So that's what I have.
Thank you so much, Shirley. I appreciate that. I have a lot of notes. So more things I'm going to add to my Amazon list. Um, so I did forget to add on there that Epic Books, it's an app that I know became really big during the pandemic and the shutdown for reading since we couldn't get library books and stuff. So Epic also has Chinese books on there as well. And they do range. They're so much better than a few years ago when I used to use them. They are in Mandarin, so you can check that out too. So there's some there. If I was checking out another app that I use to watch shows, and it's called Viki Pass. Where is it? Or Rakuten Viki, Viki. So those have a lot of the Asian shows on them. And I did see that there were a few cartoons on there in Mandarin, but my husband and I like to watch it because he likes to stay up on his Mandarin. And for him, watching a show is best for him. And we put it in English subtitles under below, and then we watch the show in Mandarin, and it's kind of fun. I mean, I don't speak it well enough yet to really understand what they're saying, but I can follow along with the subtitles, and I really get drawn into the shows, and it's really fun. So it's something for the adults and the children. So, but now we're done. We wanted to kind of open it up to you guys, and everyone can unmute and then ask us questions, or maybe you guys have something that you would like to share with us as well. Some things that you have found that you really like or really works with your kids. So the time is now yours. Does anyone have any questions or?
Well, I'll ask one question, and then I can tell you about one thing that I'm doing briefly. But here's my struggle. Do all of your kids like really just like do this without a big push?
No. Especially my third grader who struggles, I really have to coax him into doing Chinese time. So he earns more screen time of games that he likes to play if he spends so much time doing this. And we are horrible. We're helping him with some flashcards his teacher told him to get to memorize. And if he can read the character by memory, tell us what it means, and then write the character properly. And right now we have it set to 20 flashcards. So if he can do all three of those things with 20 different flashcards, he gets a brand new Skylander character from Amazon that he gets to pick out. So it's really hard with him. My teenager, of course, he drags his feet and he's like, I don't want to. You know, so yeah, it's pushing, but we know it's good for them, so we make them do it.
Okay, because I was going to ask about, because my second grader is the one that I have the hardest time getting him to, he's like, no more homework. I don't want to do Chinese. It's more homework.
Yeah.
And so I have to be careful to not like force it because I don't want him to hate learning.
Yeah. No.
So it's kind of a line for me. But then my 8th grader, he really needs a lot more practice with reading and writing probably. And kind of in his class, I get the feeling that the teacher plows ahead and half of the kids are mumbling along and they don't even know what they're doing. And I think he's falling in that category. And so I really need a resource to like help him more with the reading. And do you think that the books, like I was writing it on my other screen over here, the Mandarin companion books would be good for 8th grade, like getting ready to do that?
Yeah, I
think like getting ready for the AP class and stuff. Okay.
It's a good start, and then he can start graduating up from there. So yeah, I have my 8th grader reading those as well because we haven't been doing much reading at home. I'm like, oh, they're doing it in class, you know, I don't need to worry about it. But then when we watched the other lady the other night, I'm like, oh crap, my kids are gonna not do well. I need to step it up. But I did like Craig's idea of breaking up an hour into 20-minute chunks,
Mhm.
doing something different. I think I'm going to
Yeah,
start.
I wrote that down, your 20
Yeah, I
minutes.
do too. I think that's a good idea because it does make them feel like they're not doing more homework then, especially. And that's how I got my third grader who does not want to do this. I said, look, I have an app. It's a game that you can play. And that sparked his interest. And he asks for my phone now. He says, I want to play the Chinese game. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in too. You know, I have the same issue about trying to make it enjoyable rather than a burden on the kids. And I think what I've had to do is adjust and find things that they like. You know, I think they just don't like to be told what to do. You know, that's part of it. And so even if it's things that they want, but if you say, oh, you have to do it now, then sometimes they're going to be resistant to that. But I've really tried to look at what they like and what they don't like and try to find a balance and not push the things they don't like too much. I think writing with a pen or a pencil is important and they don't like it. And that's the one thing that I just say, look, we got to do this. And then after you do that, you can watch the toy video that you really like. So I try to have a balance like that. The other thing I was interested to say was about on Mandarin Companion or learning to read. I think it's really important for the kids when they get to be 10, 11, 12 to have an interest in China that they want to pursue on their own for their own sake. You know, like it might be martial arts, it might be, you know, like the comic books or something about popular culture in China that gets them excited that they want to learn about. I was talking to Professor Bourgerie, you know, and he was talking about how his daughter learned French by she was interested in fashion. He said, "Oh, here's a fashion magazine from France," and boom, she was looking up words and reading, and because all that was her passion. Like if there's a way, and it's harder with China. I think with
yeah,
France, like fashion, there are things that are a little closer that, and China seems a little more distant. But if you can find that thing that your child wants to do or know about in Chinese, and then they start to read, reading for pleasure is the key. And then even if they're not following along in class, they're like shooting way ahead in other areas, and then the class is sort of like it just gets easier and easier. And so trying to find that interest that your child might have in China, where they have to use Chinese to get there, can do
okay,
it. Sometimes it's a trip to China or some connections with China, or you need to talk so that you can get something you want, right? And I don't know
yeah,
how that can happen, but I think that's important for them to have motivation, because you don't want to be, it's not fun for you or for them to be saying you have to do this. And so the way is you got to have entertaining stuff and then grab their interests in a way that Chinese is essential, if there's a way. So, anyways, those
yeah,
couple of thoughts. Yeah.
okay. And I've talked with Craig about this a little bit, just something that I've been doing. And so I was going to just briefly tell everybody, I recently met a woman that's from Beijing, and she kind of got trapped here because of COVID. She was here when it hit and she couldn't go home. So she was volunteering in the second grade classroom because she had nothing to do. Anyway, she has kind of organized something where she's got some people in China that are obviously native speakers, they're in China, that are willing to teach, what do I want to call it? They'll teach like a small group just for free. They volunteer their time. And now both of my kids are doing this and they are not professional teachers. And one thing that I've run into a little bit with this is just the difference in teaching style between the Chinese people and the way our kids are used to being taught in the classroom. Because sometimes the teacher that they have, it will be like lecture, 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 and the kids are like, oh no. But the one thing I have liked about it, and one thing that I noticed with my 8th grader, is he's had a lot of teachers from Taiwan, and now he's speaking to these people in China, and he's saying it sounds completely different. So like what Craig was saying, to be able to be exposed to a lot of different people speaking, and even in different parts of China, or you've got some in different parts of China, you've got some in Taiwan. But anyway, what it is that I'm doing is like an exchange program. So I volunteer to teach one of the English classes. So I have a class of about 5 or 6 kids in Beijing. They're like 6, 7 years old, and I teach them for as long as the Zoom meeting will last before cutting me off. once a week. And because I volunteered to do it for free, then there are people there. Two of the kids I teach, their dads teach for us. And one of them, the dad kind of tries to focus on science. And so some of the kids that like science, he does a lot of stuff with science or kind of different things. But anyway, it's kind of an exchange thing. And, you know, even though they're not like professional teachers or whatever, it's just kind of giving them a chance to listen to native speakers and, you know, just have the chance to communicate. They do have a couple of classes that my kids have been in that were like reading classes, and the teacher will have them read it and would correct their pronunciation and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's kind of just a small thing that they're kind of getting started. But yeah, I just like that it really is important that they're hearing that native language and from different places. I didn't really realize what a big difference that was. But anyway, that's just something that I've been doing with this volunteer exchange group. So that's all.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, because Heather and I tried some different experiments and we had real trouble with payment. And so the idea that it's free makes it easier, you know, because it's hard to pay someone in China, we found out. I mean, there's just all these barriers we didn't know about when we try to do something with China. It's hard.
Yeah, and I also teach for VIP Kid. I've been doing it for 3.5 years. And so I know that there are a lot of parents in China that desperately want their children speaking to native English speaking people, and they pay a lot of money for it. So when there's something that they find out is free, I think that's why the couple of dads that I know that are teaching is because, oh, and my kid can learn for free from you instead of paying. I know how much VIP Kids pays me, and they're making a profit.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, wow, these parents are paying a lot of money.
I'd be
A lot of money.
If
So
some more parents, I'd be very interested in trying that out as well. I think Craig would be too.
Yeah.
Because we had problems trying to get it for payment. But
yeah, I think it would be hard. The only reason that it's been able to kind of work is that this woman that I've met, she's from Beijing, and these are just people that she's known for a long time that live there.
Okay.
That she's kind of mentioned it to. So she's been able to kind of find people on that end. I have a few contacts just on WeChat with some of the parents of the VIP Kids students that I teach, but I haven't dared to like snag some of them because VIP Kid would not be happy about that.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So yeah, anyway, yeah, if you have any questions, you can message me about it or whatever, but it's just something.
No, I think talking to a native speaker, just being able to speak freely and conversate, it's the conversation that they don't get in school. And I think that that's something that they need to learn, is how to conversate in this language as well, not just speak textbook, but to carry on a fluent conversation in hobbies and other kind of things as well. So I agree, that's really important. And then also for kids who are reluctant to learn, there's also the option of Netflix. If you have a Netflix account, you can always go on to the language and subtitles, and there are actually quite a few shows that are in Mandarin, and then you can put on the English subtitles or even simplified Chinese character subtitles or something like that, whatever your preference is. One of the children's cartoons that my kids really like to do that with is the Dragon Prince on there. There was the movie about the lady on the moon. I can't remember the name of that one, but it was it's a movie they made about the lady on the moon, the fable about that. And then True, the little rainbow girl thing, she grants wishes from a wishing tree. I don't know, it's a toddler show that my little one likes to watch. and I'm trying to expose him to Chinese as well. So we put it in Mandarin with the English subtitles, and all of my kids kind of flock together, even though it's a kids show, but they'll all watch it because it's in Chinese, and then it becomes interesting. So you can kind of play around on Netflix and see what shows. Even Disney Plus has some shows that are dubbed in Mandarin as well that you guys could check out there. So just some last minute tips there. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I would like to add a little bit more to help the kids more in learning Chinese. We really need to not just thinking about academically they learn Chinese, we also need to think about culture, because when we're learning Chinese, if we neglected the culture, first, it is important. When you learn the language, you need to learn the culture. Secondly, is your kids eventually would take the AP test. Culture plays a huge part there. So what I would highly recommend is bring the kids to go and celebrate the different festivals that we have. Go to Chinatown, and whenever you go visit some places, if you go travel, make sure you go and hit the Chinatown and see how they do it. I know the LA Chinatown, just don't worry about it. That is terrible. But the San Francisco one, the one in Las Vegas is great. And also the Chinatown in Utah is great, to be honest. And I'm bringing a group down there this month. So if you want to join, is on the Facebook group. And I don't earn any money. I'm just going down there anyway. So I'm just going to bring a group. If you have any questions, you can ask me there. And
where is that?
it's
Like,
just
where's it located?
It's just downtown on State Street, I think.
In Salt Lake, just
In Salt Lake,
downtown.
yeah.
Okay,
You just
okay.
Google Chinatown, Salt Lake City, and I'm happy when I bring the group there. I will talk about different shops and what's good there, what I like, and they have different Asian restaurants there, and I like to go and hit up. And I also bring the group. I'll bring the group inside the grocery store and tell them about the snacks and what you need to buy, because it can be very overwhelming. And so that's what my plan will be. And also think about Chinese New Year. Make sure you hit the downtown or one of the restaurant and just eat some of their food. And also Dragon Bowl, we are going to have a festival. I will post it and you guys can come for free. And then think about Mid-Autumn Festival, right? Mid-Autumn Festival is another one that you can buy, like mooncake and some lanterns, just celebrate with your kids. Those are good things that you can do that make it fun with your kids to celebrate the culture. At the same time, they can use the Chinese. You can watch about the legend of the festival. And I think that those are very important, and those are some things that I think will be good for your kids.
That's a great idea. I've always, yeah, I think that learning, and that's why I would love them to be able to talk with somebody in China or Taiwan to learn more about the culture, because I do feel like that class doesn't even start until middle school out here. And I would love for my kids to be exposed to more culture learning. So
Yes, and in the meantime, because it's COVID, that's why I'm trying to organize this little field trips, like going to the sensei, the acupuncturist, or going to the kung fu place. And in Salt Lake City, they do have it here, and or a dance studio that they teach Chinese dances. So I'm hoping to organize this local field trips before the COVID ends, so that all of you can actually enjoy this kind of culture just in Utah.
thank you. Yeah, we'll be there for sure. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if we're about to run out of time again, but I think we're all pretty much have asked our questions or shared what we wanted to share. So I want to thank all of you guys for joining us. This was a lot of great information. I came in prepared to share my information and prepared to also learn some more. And Boy, I did. So I'm excited to hit up all these other links that have been shared and to do some more research on my notes. So thank you, and Shirley, and for Craig for presenting and sharing as well. And thank you, Jennifer and Maren and Carrie, for joining us and sharing your wisdom as well. So thank you, guys. And we will keep you posted on when we're going to hold another one of these, and we'll be talking about something different. So
Thank you.
再见。
再见。
再见，再见，谢谢，好，拜拜。